We are back with future NFL Hall of Famer Rob Gronkowski.
Hi, everybody. Chris Justice here in the Weather Center alongside Cedric Haynes. We got an active tornado warning here for Cherokee County until 4 o'clock. We've got possible rotation here with indications of possibly a tornado on the ground south of Blacksburg right here, and it's moving east at about 40 miles per hour. It's 11 miles east of Gaffney. Right in here, we've seen some signs that this area has been trying to rotate from time to time here across Blacksburg. Very, very heavy rainfall as this line pushes east toward Blacksburg and Smyrna. This area has shown some signs of very strong winds right in here. Putting a track on it here for you as it moves east. It'll be in Grover at 336, Bethany at 343, Clover at 348, and in Fairview School at about 348. We've been watching this line as it moved on through with the potential of very, very strong winds and excess of 60 miles per hour. So right in here, this section of the line trying to extend out ahead of it, and there's a potential tornado just south of Blacksburg right here. Cedric drawing this on. We've been noting that this rotation right in here has gained in strength, and this line is trying to extend out ahead of it. So 60, 70 mile per hour winds trying to wrap up into a tornado right here as a new radar scan comes through as it's moving into eastern Cherokee County right here, right along the line here pushing into I-85 right here. So Bethany just north of Kings Creek right here. Very strong winds coming out ahead of this line, and it's moving right along the I-85 corridor. So folks, if you know anybody that could be in the path of this storm along I-85 pushing east or should say north on I-85 toward the Charlotte area, some very strong winds associated with this as it's pushing east at about 40 miles per hour. So Kings Mountain State Park, Bethany Elementary School, Bethany, and Fairview School all within the next 15 minutes. Just north of Kings Creek, there's I-85, there's Blacksburg, an active tornado warning. Let's pull out just a bit. We'll show you where we're talking about, because this whole line as it's moved across the upstate has shown signs of very strong winds. We've also got another area we're watching here for you folks in Union County. This rotation has been evident back towards Spartanburg County. So this area here across Union County also showing us signs of rotation. You see this line as it's trying to extend out ahead of it. This little notch right in here is where we possibly could get another quick touchdown tornado heading towards you folks in Union. Putting a track on this as you see that rotation Cedric drawing on, heading towards you folks in downtown Union. I want you to be in your safe place as well, heading toward Carlisle as it moves east toward Union, Lockhart, Armenia, and then Chester at about 4:02. So crossing the Union-Chester County line right at about 4 o'clock. So these areas in the path of this, the concern up and down this line, as you can see, this area down toward Abbeville also extending out. You got a severe thunderstorm warning there. You've got an active severe thunderstorm warning across Union County, and then the concerning part right here near Blacksburg with an active tornado warning for Cherokee County until 4 o'clock. Possibility of a tornado right in here just south of I-85. There's I-85 leaving Gaffney. There's Gaffney. Here's Blacksburg. You go up toward the north here toward Gaston County. Right there is a potential tornado. And Cedric, that rotation appears to be tight right there, pushing east toward Bethany, South Gastonia, Boogertown, and up toward Gastonia in the next 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, Chris, in fact, you can see here how this is kind of really starting to wrap up a little bit. We've just got a new frame updated here by our radar here, and you can kind of see right in there where that would sit there just south and east of Blacksburg there. You kind of got that little hook showing up. It's kind of a little backwards than what we've been seeing recently, but you can clearly see it here just east of Blacksburg there right now, just to the north and east of over towards Highway 5 there, and you can kind of see what we're looking at there. And then when we turn on velocity here, you'll be able to see with the winds as well. That's a correlation where the strongest winds are, but also notice here where we've got the green and red touching. So again, we've got green going toward the radar, red going away from the radar there. So that lines up with where the potential rotation would be showing up by the radar, and you can clearly see that on both the reflectivity, which is the regular radar, and then also when we're looking at the upper level winds as well.
Yeah, right in here. There's I-85, there's Highway 5. Getting it a little bit closer, possibly, Cedric, we can pull at some of these streets right in here. We've got 60, 70 mile per hour winds in this as it pushes through. This is the eastern side of Cherokee County, just east of Gaffney. Right in there, there's Possum Trot Road, there's McSwain Road, there's Lookout Tower Road. This is, again, eastern Cherokee County, south of Blacksburg's there. There's Kings Mountain National Military Road, and there's Rock House Road. So this area here, possibly seeing that potential of some rotation there. Looking back out just a bit, we're still getting some rotation toward Union County. In fact, that area is showing some very strong rotation right along the highway there. Let's pull out just a bit here, go toward the south just a bit. There's Hickory Grove, pulling out just a bit here and back toward the west as we look into Union County. We've seen some strong winds out of this as well as live Super Doppler 4 HD has been scanning this area as we've seen the potential of rotation out of this as well. I'm going to pull up live Super Doppler 4 HD here across Chester County, Union County as this moves eastbound heading toward Union. There's that notch right there. This too is showing some signs of some strong rotation south of West Springs, north of Cross Keys. Very strong winds right in here in this neck of the woods heading towards you folks in Union and Carlisle. I want you to be seeking shelter right now as well as we're looking at the potential of some strong winds out of this up and down the area here. And right there is where that potential rotation would be just south of Blacksburg. Up and down this line, it's shown signs of rotation all afternoon long. We've been tracking this on live Super Doppler 4 HD. We have an active tornado warning for Cherokee County. Looking out just a bit, those of you watching us in Greenville, you have no threat for severe weather right now. It's all about the strong winds in parts of Union, Cherokee County, where we've got active warnings, and then toward Greenwood County, Abbeville County as well. Watching this as it pushes eastbound. Got a notch down here in southern Abbeville County as well that does appear to be tightening up just a bit right in there across downtown Abbeville heading east toward Greenwood. So a couple areas to watch here, starting at the top here with this active tornado warning. We've got this active rotation that is south of Blacksburg right along the I-85 corridor here. You can clearly see that notch as this line is trying to move east, and as it does, it's encountering some very warm and unstable air along the Cherokee County line as it's moving south of Grover right there. You need to be seeking shelter in Grover and putting a track on this with the winds. Got winds in excess of 60 miles per hour moving through the I-85 corridor pushing eastbound. There's 329. There's Blacksburg, Patterson Springs, and Kings Mountain pushing east very, very quickly here. Kings Mountain Military Park at about 340. Kings Mountain State Park, Bethany, and then Fairview School all within the next 15 minutes or so. Here's the upstate. Here's where we're watching. A couple areas of concern is Union County and Cherokee County. There's a notch right there. The wind's trying to extend out ahead of that line. Here comes another scan from live Super Doppler 4 HD. Got possible rotation here across Union County as we get another scan here. This is going to help us out as that line and that rotation is now out of Cherokee County, but potential for more rotation here across Union. So let's zoom in here to Union County. And also down here toward Abbeville County. We'll get down to that. Here is Union. You got this strong notch right here, which is some very strong winds coming on through. Putting a track on that to the winds here. Very strong, upwards of 50, 60 miles per hour. This line has had a history of producing damage in its wake with downed trees, power lines, multiple folks without power across Greenville and Spartanburg counties have had trees come down. This is heading toward Union, South Hills, Lockhart, and Wilkesburg at about 10-15 minutes. We'll see this move on through. Farther south of Cross Keys toward Abbeville County. Watching you folks in Greenwood County as well, because this line all up and down it is showing some signs of some rotation. And right in there across Abbeville County, you got this notch that's right in here, as well as Calhoun Falls. So lots of areas in this section of the radar that are showing some signs of a little bit of rotation here across Abbeville, downtown right there along Highway 72, pushing east toward Miller's Mill and Abbeville, crossing into the Greenwood, Abbeville County line shortly. You've got the winds going toward the radar there in green, going away from the radar in red there, watching that rotation, and at the very least some very strong winds across Abbeville County as well. Looking specifically at the radar, you can see that notch right there is that line trying to extend out ahead of it, and that little notch right there indicates that this area right in here is some rotation across Abbeville. There's Highway 28, there's Highway 72 going into Greenwood County. So we're going to watch this closely as this whole line is showing some signs that it's trying to rotate just a bit. Looking at the hail, we've had 2-inch ping-pong ball-sized hail down toward Elberton, move through Abbeville. Thankfully, that hail is starting to slack up just a bit, but right along Highway Highway 71 right here, heading toward Highway 72. You're going to get some large hail in excess of an inch right here. So that is the concern out of this side of the storm, is it is possibly producing some large hail as well. We'll pull back out just a bit and show you our Skycam networks. We've got 66 degrees in Greenville. Looking specifically at this new tornado warning, it is now out of Cherokee County, the eastern fringe of it right there, pushing east toward parts of Gaston County, York County. Predominantly, it looks like that rotation is now more over York County. What do you say there, Cedric, watching it heading toward Clover?
Yes, I would think so. They're moving towards the northern half of the county there. In fact, we can switch over here and take a look at the winds and get a little better idea here, show us exactly where we're talking about here. And it looks like the area of concern is right in here. So basically right on the border there of crossing out of South Carolina into North Carolina right now. In fact, we can go in a little closer here and give you an idea of just a little bit more detail of what we're talking about here. This is just to the north of Bethany now, making its way just south of Kings Mountain in North Carolina. But you can see basically straggling the North Carolina-South Carolina border, we have the green and the red touching together there. So we know that the winds in a short little space area there are beginning to rotate just a little bit, and that's an area to watch here. And as we take a look here at the debris product that we have here, you can see here where we have some of these brighter colors showing up here. That's an area that we're watching here as it continues to lift north and east there into North Carolina right now. And I want to just see here, we're going to try to back this up here just a couple of minutes here and see what we had a couple of frames ago. And you can see we had some indications there, maybe just to the north and west of Bethany there, of some activity showing up there. That has since calmed down a little bit here in this last scan, but it is still something, again, to keep an eye on there as it continues to make its way north and east. But you can really see on radar where we've got this little kind of kink that shows up in the line. We keep talking about these little kinks. That's an indication that you've got strong winds inbound, and then you've got winds on the outbound side of the storm. So you've got that rotation that potentially straddles that, and that's the kind of the most area of concern, and why that still has that tornado warning that's kind of in effect for those regions there.
Yeah, in York County, if you have family and friends that are in York County, this is just south of the I-85 corridor. Watching that closely here as we're looking at that even possible there. A couple of areas in and around Union County that we're possibly seeing some rotation as well, near Union right in here. This is a concern as we're watching this line move through Union. Very, very strong winds, likely some pea-sized hail out of this. We'll put a track on it here, pea-sized hail track right there just north of Cross Keys. But the strong gusty winds, the primary concern here across Union as it pushes eastbound, as we're looking at 60+ mile-per-hour winds here across Highway 49. Putting a track on it as this moves eastbound toward Carlisle. Again, the threat here is the ground is so saturated that it would not take a lot to bring down trees with this kind of wind, as saturated as the ground is. So Carlisle, Santuck School, Santuck, Leeds, and then Pilgrim School at about 355. So areas in and around this, likely seeing that. Things have calmed down across Greenwood and Anderson. If you're watching us there, you have no threat. The active tornado warning is for York County, right along the North Carolina line from York and Gaston County. So I would advise no travel on I-85 northbound. At the very least, we've got some very strong winds. It's best to let these storms roll on through. And you can see the active severe thunderstorm warnings and the storm damage reports that we've gotten back toward the west here. As we're watching some reports come on in. Now, the National Weather Service let us know that they've got many more reports than these icons that you're seeing here, but as they come on in, their primary concern right now is for what's happening right now. They'll get us these reports as they can, but we've got multiple power outages here across Greenville and Spartanburg counties, with trees down, branches down, up and down this line, and it's moving quickly at about 40-50 miles per hour through Cherokee County, Union County. Let's get down to Abbeville and Greenwood County. Been watching Elbert County as well. You folks are seeing some very strong winds, and this little notch right in here is still showing some signs of some broad circulation. Watching that closely, been watching the greens and reds, and still evident that we got some broad circulation at the very least in Abbeville. The winds going away from the radar right there, and the winds going toward the radar. The inbound's not quite as strong, Cedric, but that's a cell to watch right there along Highway 72.
It is, and you know, I was noticing here just a second ago as we were showing that for you, that you can see that on the southern end of the storm, it's really slowing down the southern end of this line. And notice now we're seeing more individual or discrete cells beginning to try to develop, or little kinks that are showing up. So this tells me that while we still have mainly just damaging winds and some hail concerns here as we get towards Abbeville on the north side of Abbeville, we've got to really watch this storm, because if it decides to wrap up anymore, it is already showing signs that we do have some rotation, at least aloft or upstairs in the atmosphere, because you can see where we've got that little kink where the rain disappears on the radar, and that again lets us know here that that is actually a rotating storm. So it probably has that structure that looks like a rotating thunderstorm moving on through, and now pushing north and east of Abbeville, heading towards folks between Cokesbury and over towards Greenwood as well. You're going to be kind of next in line for that. So if we put a little tracker on there for you, you can kind of get an idea of this area that we're talking about here. And then as it makes its way on off towards the east-northeast, again, notice our folks in Hodges and over towards Cokesbury and Greenwood eventually, especially on the north side, got to be kind of concerned with this storm, Chris. And again, noticing that these are becoming more separated or by themselves. Yeah. So that's definitely something to watch as well up and down this line. We've got the Boeing part to the north that's speeding ahead, but the southern part is slowing down, and that's a concern.
That is a concern. And watching areas up and down this line from Abbeville to Greenwood, Lawrence through Union. Good news for Gaffney. You're out of the severe thunderstorm and the tornado warning at this moment. The far eastern stretch of Cherokee County still included in that box, but the threat is now well into York County. So good news there. But we've got the active severe thunderstorm warning here in Union as this pushes eastbound, seeing some signs of rotation there. As well, farther south toward Greenwood and Abbeville, we've got this rotation we've been watching right in there, as well as this hail core, which does appear to be getting stronger in this area, pushing east towards you folks in uptown Greenwood. Heads up, folks, in and around the lake here across Greenwood. We're still seeing this heading quickly toward you as this pushes eastbound very quickly, putting a fresh track on it here as it gets you into Greenwood County. So Greenwood at about 356, Kirksey at 415, Newberry by 428. So these areas in the path of this, you need to treat this almost like you would a tornado warning, because we've got history of this bringing down trees. 60, 70 mile per hour winds through uptown Greenwood, certainly possible here as this pushes east. And this hail core does look like it's going to go right on the northern side of Greenwood and then eventually into parts of Lake Greenwood there. So watching that closely is this core, the strongest part of the storm, going parallel right there, basically from northern Abbeville to northern Greenwood, south of Cokesbury, south of Cross Hill. Also noting some rotation in this as well. Cedric puts a fresh track on this. Miller's Mill, Harris, uptown Greenwood by about 359, Pinehurst by about 405. So watching that as it pushes east very, very quickly here. Good news there that this is starting to slack up back toward the west. So you folks in parts of Cherokee County now seeing that tornado warning tighten up just a bit. So it's right along the Gaston, York County. You need to treat this seriously, be seeking shelter, stay inside, ride out this storm, because this is a pronounced hail core with likely inch-sized hail, ping pong ball size, in excess of quarter size likely in this as it moves east toward Highway 72 into Greenwood County. So areas in and around this, we're watching it closely across Greenville County, just some heavy rainfall. You're seeing this as it moves on through. Looks like we've got some mic issues here. I'm going to put this on as we're continuing to watch this closely as it pushes on east. All right, Mike is fine. We're hearing the mic, so that's some good news there as this pushes on through parts of these areas here. So a couple areas that we're watching. This notch in Abbeville County, Greenwood County, as this notch is coming through right in here. Hail concern as well as strong winds. I want you to be getting to your safe place in Greenwood. If we don't have rotation out of this, which I do see some broad level rotation, it's very strong winds heading towards you folks in Cokesbury, Cross Hill, down toward Lake Greenwood. I want you to be seeking shelter right now. And as Cedric turns off everything that you need to kind of, you don't need to see in everything you do, this is specifically the rotation, which is just north of Highway 72 right in here. There's Miller's Mill. This is just the rotation. And we're seeing that rotation kind of ramp up right there across Abbeville County. This is heading toward Greenwood County. No tornado warning for Greenwood or Abbeville, but we are seeing some signs on live Super Doppler 4 HD that this line is rotating near Woodlawn School, Emerald Junior High School, Alderman Santorium, and then we got Greenwood by about 358. Watching this line very closely as it moves on through. Those of you watching us in western North Carolina, you've seen the strong storms come on through. You're under no active alerts right now. We've had history that's producing damage back toward the west. Many are without power across Greenville and Spartanburg counties. Guys upstairs, do we have some pictures we can show? We're efforting this for the top of the hour here. Let's go ahead and go to some of these pictures here. Here is a down tree. Where was this again? This is Ware Place in Pelzer. You got a tree on a home right here, down on a fence, a very large tree. Looks like a good root structure there. So these are healthy trees, and that's the concern here as we have had tremendous amounts of rain here in the past, say, week with more than 10 inches in many areas. So the threshold is much lower. Here's another picture from Ware Place right here near Pelzer as we've got very, very strong winds in excess of 60 miles per hour that have come through. And again, with as saturated as the ground is, it doesn't take 60-mile-an-hour winds to bring down some trees. It really only takes 30, 40-mile-per-hour winds. Here is a tree down on Clemson Boulevard in Anderson County, getting some new pictures and video in here. You can see it stalled traffic right in there for a time as crews are actively working to get this cleaned up. It is clear now, getting word about that. This was about 30, 45 minutes ago as crews worked very hard to clear this out as this section of Anderson County hit hard on Clemson Boulevard from the strong winds that moved on through the area. And again, down trees, our primary concern with these gusty winds that have just raced through the area. And live Super Doppler 4 HD shows we still have areas of concern across parts of Greenwood, Abbeville County here. Lots of cloud to ground lightning, a very electrical storm here as this line is pushing through very quickly at about 40, 50 miles per hour. So uptown Greenwood, this is approaching you. Let's get in closer here to Greenwood County. There's the lake as this is moving through Coronacre, Cokesbury, Promised Land, 96, all seeing very strong winds out of this. Putting a fresh track on this with Storm Tracker, giving you a minute-by-minute look at when this is heading towards your neck of the woods. 357 for Greenwood, Coronacre by 359, Harris Springs by 403, and then 96 by about 405. Very strong winds in excess of 40, 50, 60 miles per hour heading towards your neck of the woods. We've also seen a hail core out of this with almost quarter-sized hail. Back toward Elbert County, that was closer to ping-pong ball-sized hail, over 2 inches in size. The hail has been much more pronounced on the southern side of this storm as we've moved on through. Putting a track on specifically the hail, you can expect some hail to start falling down in Greenwood at about 405. Irvine's Landing at about 414. So heading toward the lake very quickly in those neck of the woods. Watching this as it moves out of Abbeville County, still watching some rotation. Cedric putting on here specifically the rotation, and those blues there indicate where the storm is rotating. Again, that is some concern. It's rotating in the middle parts of the atmosphere. Should it come down, that would be the concern, as we could possibly get a quick touchdown tornado. So the rotation, the strong part of the storm moving toward downtown Greenwood, uptown there at 402, South Memorial Hospital, Piedmont Technical College, and then Pinehurst at about 407. Watching this line very closely across the area as it moves out of Cherokee County. You were under a tornado warning. The sirens went off in Gaffney, in Blacksburg, and Surratt as this line pushed on through and quickly began to rotate. Now we're seeing that rotation along the York-Gaston County line just north of Clover, where in fact the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area now under a tornado warning approaching the Charlotte Douglas International Airport there. So anybody that could be traveling right now out of there, you need to be urging them to seek some shelter is this is a very strong storm moving through with still some active rotation moving toward our radar site in the upstate, and this is pushing towards Charlotte downtown very soon. So a dangerous situation there. Here at home, we've got the active alerts for Abbeville, Greenwood County, an active severe thunderstorm warning. This is active for Union County as well, as this line continues to move very quickly off toward the east. You folks watching us in Greenville and Spartanburg, we're seeing conditions really calm down a bit, which is certainly some good news after such a volatile storm moved on through. Many of you are without power right now. We'll have those latest numbers coming up on WYFF News 4 at 4 in just a few moments. A severe thunderstorm watch goes until 8 o'clock for these counties, but this is dropping off very quickly. I do expect the worst of this storm to be over with within the hour. This is not going to be an all-evening type event, as this line is kind of the last of the severe weather as it pushes east. Very warm and unstable air. This is the very tail end of the low pressure system that's been plaguing our area all week long, giving us some upper level energy that's moving through the area right now. And temperatures behind it much more cool, much more stable, but it has been so muggy and warm today that fueled these storms. So our severe risks as this line moves through: strong winds, flooding, and hail. We had over 10 inches of rain this week, so creeks and streams are already high. So it doesn't take much from some of these strong storms that roll on through the area to give us additional flooding, as well as the grounds are so saturated. Gusty winds in excess of 40 miles per hour can bring down trees, when on a normal day that would take some 60 or 70 mile per hour winds. So that threshold much more specific and threatening on a day like today. So going into the overnight hours, certainly some rain possible, but I do not expect severe weather tonight. That's the good news. And going into the weekend, a very typical summertime pattern. We're going to have starting off most days with the sun shining, mixed with a few clouds, and then by the afternoon hours, we'll see some storms begin to flare up. Saturday afternoon in the mountains, trying to spill down into the upstate by the early evening hours. So Memorial Day headlines: typical summertime pattern, warm and muggy, a mixture of sun and clouds with scattered afternoon thunderstorms each day there. So looking back at live Super Doppler 4AC, I'm going to back up my maps right here, show you the areas we're concerned about in Union County, Abbeville County, Greenwood County. As this line pushes through the area, it has prompted severe thunderstorm warnings, and it has given us some damage, unfortunately. Several trees down, several power outages in and around Greenville County, Spartanburg County, Pickens County, Anderson County, Clemson, back towards Seneca, along Lake Keowee, down toward Lake Hartwell. We've seen some damage. Trees reported down all across the upstate here, and now this active tornado warning for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area, as this line is quickly moving out of our area toward Columbia and Charlotte. So Union, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning for severe winds that are in excess of 60 miles per hour, especially in eastern Union County. Lawrence County, you're not under an active warning right now, but you've got some heavy rain, some strong gusty winds. And then Abbeville and Greenwood counties, we've got some very strong winds moving through with in excess of 40, 50 miles per hour. This has also been a hail maker back toward Elberton, and thankfully we're starting to see that rotation that was in the middle parts of the atmosphere near Abbeville and Greenwood start to come down. So we're going to continue to watch this closely as we see this line push through the area here from Greenville. Still some rain, Spartanburg, Lawrence, Gaffney, and Union. So WYFF News 4 at 4 starts right now.
Live, local, breaking news. This is WYFF News 4 at 4.
And breaking news, we are continuing our coverage of the severe weather. Right now, people are reporting strong winds taking down trees and knocking out power. This is video taken a short time ago from Clemson Boulevard. We're told this road is now back open. But again, this video taken just a short time ago here in Anderson County. You can see a tree hit a semi-truck. We are right now working to learn if anyone was injured here. We also want to show you some live pictures right now. This is from Old 100 Road in the Pelzer Ware Shoals Place area. Oh, look at that tree down there on that house, on a playhouse. That is. Okay, so that was a playhouse in someone's backyard here. You know,